Well, hello and welcome to this elaboration part of this lesson. And first I want to elaborate on the tuning. So, with the first chord what I got is basically two notes, the D note and the A note. So you could play that as a power chord. And then you got an F and a C. So you could play the whole riff like that, But a big part of the song, I think, is, those open strings. So what I did and what I believe John did was to simplify the tuning. So remove the E notes and lower them 2 semitones to D notes. So when we play this, even though we play 6 strings, we only have actually 2 notes. And I think the sound is, really beautiful. So I really recommend using this tuning. And also, like I wrote in the beginning there, you tune everything 20 cents up. And if you don't have a tuner that shows cents, which is hundreds of a semitone, then just use the notes I provided in the beginning and match your guitar to those. And the second thing I want to address is that the tab that I provided is wrong. So, the first thing you hear when you listen to the song is that he plays. So he strums all of the strings 2 times. And in my tab I wrote either or. So you don't play the whole chord on the first drum. And again, if you continue 1 second further into the song, you notice that he does those down drums like that, but I show like that. And the reason that I did the tab this way is because John plays this song kind of sloppy with a lot of improvisations, so he varies it a lot throughout the song. And if I would tab out each of those details, I think it would be very confusing and time consuming for you to learn the song. So what I did instead was, for the first part of the tab, I showed the main idea of the song. And then after that I show the main variations that he does, but by no means are those all the variations. And the main variations are on those higher strings you got or. And for the first chord, you can notice that sometimes I suggest you play only the open D string, in this case. And sometimes I suggest you play the lower 3 strings. So, and at first it might seem a bit random to when I do what, but it's actually quite simple, It's actually there to help you, because when I play open string, it's when he does a fill like this. Because when he does that, you don't have that much time to go back to this chord. And what I found that he does in the song is to just, play that open D string. So, and when you hit that open string, you have a lot of time to go back to this chord. And when you strum it the second time, you can strum the whole chord. So, But when he plays like this, you have a lot more time to go back to this chord and play. Well, in the tab I wrote the lower 3 strings, but you don't have to be that precise. My main point is that you hit the lower strings and not the whole chord. And also another thing to address is that, mainly he plays like this, where he mutes the strings. But later in the song you can notice that he plays, the same chords, but he don't mute the strings. And I included that in the variations part of the tab, so like this. And that is also when I think he starts to add those, 3 strums on those notes. And finally we get to the interlude / the outro. And like the rest of the song, he just uses down strums. And in order to get the strumming pattern, I think the best way is to just first do down strums only each time on this A minor chord. So like that. Hopefully that was quite straightforward. And then you alternate this pattern by adding a ghost down strum, so you get this. And if you combine those two, the first one and the second one, you pretty much has everything you need to know in order to create the pattern that he plays. So like this. And one final thing is that sometimes when he switches the chord, he does that classic, muted down up strum. So if you implement that, we get. But he doesn't add that every time. So sometimes you just do, ghost down up between the chord like this. So And you can kind of experiment to when you add that and when you don't add it. And again, in the tab, I wrote down a generalized pattern that repeats itself, but in the song, I believe he kind of switches things up a little bit in the progression. So if you want to get that down perfectly, I believe now you have the tools to figure that out yourself. And yeah, that is the lesson, and this was actually a suggestion or request in the comments. So if you have another suggestion, feel free to leave that in the comments, or feel free to comment in general, because that helps the algorithm just like the like button does. So yeah, with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.